Sit up there. All right. Try not to make it too distracting here.
Brady, are you taking questions today? What do you say?
Can you say hi?
Say good morning.
All right. Jump down. Want to get him back?
You just sit with mommy, okay?
All right. Sorry.
Chris, does having a bit of a break right now, is that a good thing for you guys heading into kind of the gauntlet that is January with 7 games and tough games at that?
I just feel like it was good to, have alone time with our team and not necessarily focus in on an opponent for a few days. We threw an off day in there as well, and you're just in constant improvement mode during the season. So not being able to worry about focusing on an opponent, I think was good for our team. The fact that we didn't have classes allowed guys to get in the gym with assistant coaches, get extra shots, work on some weaknesses. So, we'll see.
How's Edmund doing with his fingers? He seems to not be taped up so much anymore. Is he back to good?
Yeah, I think that, he never really offered an excuse. He played through it. I don't think he's banged him in practice or in games, recently, which is obviously helpful. And so I think that closer to 100% than maybe he's ever been.
St. John's coaches is unique in their style and that they got three guys that were really scoring basketball. I think Sean referred to it as kind of a player's game, kind of one of those things. Do you kind of see it that way?
Well, I just know they have some really, really talented players. The thing that they don't have is experience. And so I think when you look at their schedule and see maybe some of the earlier season results, fans may point to that and say they're not as good of a team as they're playing now. The fact is they won at Syracuse by an awful lot. They beat Butler at home. They got down to Creighton, but made it a single-digit game in the second half, and so a lot of respect for their talent level and how they play and how they attack. So we have to be on guard tomorrow afternoon.
Anything stand out for you aside from the obvious with Shamari Pons? Anything that he's doing right now that's kind of maybe surprised you, or do you expect him to be?
Not surprised. I got to coach him briefly in Colorado with USA Basketball, and you can tell he's not afraid of the moment. Big-time bucket getter, a guy that can score at all three levels. Maybe the surprising thing is just the poise and the confidence that he plays with as a freshman that you don't really find a whole lot. Their team is really, really young, so they lean on one another. They don't necessarily draw back on experience, but each game that goes by, they get more and more experienced and get thrown in the fire of a lot of situations, and they're starting to be better because of it. They're really good, really talented.
You talked about some of the players that are new to the team, but Federico Mussini last year really, I think he went off in the second game and had 5 3-pointers. Is he still as much of a threat as he was last year?
He's been working his way back from illness, so he hasn't necessarily played as much as he did a year ago in recent games. I think he got back, obviously, against Creighton. But he's a dangerous threat from the three-point line. He's not just a standstill shooter. They've played him a little bit more off the ball because of Lovett and Pons and their ability to break down defenses. But, we knew a year ago that he had the ability to shoot the ball from three, and he hit a couple against our zone that, you tip your hat. But we have to be locked in on where he is on the floor when he's playing tomorrow afternoon for sure. Yeah, I think this league has a lot of improved players. I think Malik would be one of those guys. He's, again, a lot like many of the St. John's players in that they play with a lot of confidence. He plays with a lot of confidence. He can score at every different level. He brings a little bit more size to his position maybe than the two smaller guards. But, again, their team is comprised of almost all freshmen and sophomores, and those kids are sort of growing up before our eyes, and he's one of those guys that's doing that.
Where did that Williams guy come from? I guess he was little last year.
Yeah, and he got hurt, junior college kid, and with SEMA transferring, I'm sure it's opened up a little bit more opportunity, and he's made the most of his opportunities. He can score it in the low post. He can face up a little bit. I think he brings them a physical presence. He's not afraid to bang in the interior, and he rebounds the ball. So, again, I have a lot of respect for all their personnel, and he's a guy that's taken advantage of his opportunity recently.
Sean played really well at Georgetown. Has he turned a corner at some point, or is there some part of his game that's getting better or has gotten better?
Thought he played with a lot of confidence. I thought, and I still think that Georgetown has one of the more formidable front lines. They've got a lot of size in Jesse Govan and Bradley Hayes, Derrickson, guys that can score around the basket. And so I thought Sean did what he needed to do. He offensive rebound as well as he has all year. He was strong with the ball once he got it. He scored with his back to the basket. We went to him a couple times when their bigs had foul trouble, so it was good to see.
He worked with John Lucas in the summer, as did Kenny Freese many years ago, as did Jalen Reynolds, I do believe. Is that something you direct some of your post players to do, just to work on their skill during the summer?
I have a lot of respect for John as a person, and certainly who he was as a player. And he's got a love for teaching young players, the game, and also how to act and just carry yourself. And so, if our players have an opportunity to spend some time with quality basketball people outside of Xavier, then it's always a plus. And John's done great work with some of our players.
Coach, Hall of Fame weekend, Stanley Morrell's going in this weekend. Do you have a memory, thought on what Stanley meant to the program last year?
Yeah, I don't know that many players that wore their heart on the sleeve as much as Stanley did. And, he really transformed who he was. I remember when he first came in as a freshman, he was really superficial. He cared about just scoring, wasn't really locked in on the defensive end. I remember we went to the Bahamas for a tournament over the summer, and he brought like 15 or 17 different baseball hats. He just and to see him mature throughout his time. By the time he was a senior, he was really locked in to being a true team player, a guy that really valued defense. We beat Chicago when they had Eric Gordon and Jordan Crawford before he transferred, DJ White. They were a terrific team. And I remember after our last meeting, going over personnel and what Indiana brought to the table and showing clips of their offense, Stan pulled me aside because it was my scout. I was an assistant coach at the time, and said, "Coach, could you show me every clip you have on Eric Gordon?" And that was really his mindset his entire senior year. Eric Gordon struggled that day. I think the only points he scored were at the very end of the game when the game was decided. I think he held in about 1 or 2 field goals, which, he was an unbelievable talent. Instead, Stan did that each and every night. He just really locked in on his role. He wanted to be the best defensive guard in the country, and, really cared about our team a whole lot. And it's probably why we had so much success, because of his type of leadership. Thank you.